So, what actually happens to our food once we swallow it? Let's imagine the human body as a highly sophisticated processing plant, tasked with a monumental daily challenge. Food is obviously one of our most basic requirements. It gives us energy and the raw organic materials we need to grow and repair our tissues. But that food doesn't just magically turn into energy. No way. It has to undergo a rigorous, multi-step transformation.
The thing is, the food we eat, whether that's a slice of toast or a piece of chicken, simply cannot be used by our bodies in its original form. It absolutely has to be broken down, both mechanically and chemically. Converting those complex, bulky meals into simple, absorbable nutrients is the ultimate goal of digestion. It's kind of like taking apart a massive Lego castle just so your body can use the individual bricks to build and fuel whatever it actually needs to survive.
This whole process is honestly an amazing chronological journey. It kicks off right in your mouth with mastication, which is just a fancy word for chewing. Your teeth and tongue mix the food with saliva, and that saliva contains an enzyme called salivary amylase that immediately gets to work breaking down carbohydrates. From there, you swallow. A handy little flap called the epiglottis makes sure the food safely bypasses your windpipe, and it travels down the esophagus using these wave-like muscular contractions known as peristalsis. Next stop, the stomach for some serious churning, and finally into the intestines for complex enzyme breakdown. All right, so once the food arrives, it enters the stomach. Picture a J-shaped muscular bag divided into 4 major regions: the cardiac, fundic, body, and pyloric. For the next 4 to 5 hours, your stomach acts like a biological cement mixer. It vigorously churns your food with hydrochloric acid. And get this, that acid is actually strong enough to dissolve metal. It transforms your meal into a thick, highly acidic mixture called chyme.
But hey, the stomach definitely doesn't work alone. It's got some heavy-hitting chemical laboratories helping out behind the scenes. The liver, which is your body's largest gland, is busy producing fat-dissolving bile that gets stored in the gallbladder. Meanwhile, the pancreas is releasing these alkaline juices loaded with absolutely vital enzymes. All of these secretions eventually meet up in the duodenum through a shared duct. Their job? To neutralize all that crazy stomach acid and break down our meal even further.
Now, down in the small intestine is where the real payoff actually occurs. The inner lining of the small intestine is covered in these incredible, microscopic, finger-like structures called villi, along with even smaller microvilli. Together, they create what's known as a brush border. This design enormously increases the surface area for absorption. To put that into perspective, if you unfolded it all, it would literally cover an entire tennis court. These villi are just packed with capillaries, efficiently pulling those simplified nutrients straight into your bloodstream to be delivered to every single cell in your body. Okay, so having mapped out this perfectly orchestrated biological journey, we have to ask the tough question: what happens when this delicate internal ecosystem malfunctions? Our digestive tract is constantly interacting with the outside world, foreign materials, microbes, you name it, which means that as robust and tough as it is, it's also highly susceptible to stress, infection, and, well, our own poor choices. Let's run through the rapid-fire common culprits that absolutely wreck our gut health. Digestive disorders very frequently stem from poor dietary habits. We're talking low fiber, vitamin deficiencies, or just overindulging in heavy, fatty, dairy-rich foods, like that late-night cheesy pizza. Then you have things like consuming unhygienic or spoiled food, which introduces dangerous pathogens. Throw in a sedentary lifestyle, totally ignoring hydration, and even overusing medications like antacids or laxatives, and you've got a perfect storm that drastically interferes with normal bowel function. So let's look at a few specific conditions. You remember that highly acidic stomach mixture we talked about? Well, when that continuously flows backwards up into the sensitive esophagus, it causes GERD, or gastroesophageal reflux disease. Now, occasional heartburn is totally normal, but frequent reflux, that's a major red flag. Left uncontrolled, that acid can actually erode the lining of the esophageal tract. It leads to bleeding and causes this incredibly intense chest pain that is very frequently and terrifyingly mistaken for a heart attack. Moving a bit further down the tract, we run into peptic ulcers. These are basically fluid-filled blisters or open sores formed right on the inner walls of the stomach. Recent research is fascinating here. It shows they are heavily linked to bacterial infections or even just the overuse of common over-the-counter painkillers like ibuprofen. What happens is these factors destroy the stomach's protective mucus layer, leaving the delicate interior totally exposed to raw, highly concentrated hydrochloric acid. Ouch! Now, looking at the two common extremes of bowel function, we have diarrhea and constipation. Diarrhea is characterized by abnormally frequent, highly liquid bowel movements. It's usually triggered by infections or the body's sudden inability to absorb food properly. Constipation, on the other hand, is the complete opposite: infrequent movements with retained, hard, and dry stools. And honestly, constipation is largely a mechanical issue. It almost always stems from a lack of dietary fiber, simply not drinking enough water, or living a mostly sedentary lifestyle.
But here's the thing. The true danger with conditions like diarrhea and vomiting isn't just the immediate, obvious discomfort. As your body loses fluids, you're also flushing out essential minerals called electrolytes, like sodium and potassium. And this loss is absolutely no joke. It quickly leads to severe dehydration, weakness, and dizziness. That is exactly why utilizing oral rehydration solutions is absolutely vital for a safe recovery. Another major threat to our digestive peace is gastroenteritis, which most of us just call the stomach flu. This is an inflammation of the gastrointestinal tract, usually caused by viral or bacterial infections. We're talking notorious culprits like Salmonella, E. coli, and the dreaded norovirus. It brings on fever, nausea, and headaches. It is highly, highly contagious, but the bright side here? It can largely be prevented by simply practicing good old-fashioned hand hygiene. Let's shift gears to a condition dictated by the body's own defense system. For folks with celiac disease, consuming gluten, which is a very common protein found in wheat, barley, and rye, triggers a severe autoimmune response. The immune system gets confused and actually attacks and flattens the villi in the small intestine. Remember those microscopic tennis court-sized nutrient absorbers we talked about earlier? Because they are literally destroyed by friendly fire, the body faces immediate malnutrition, severe weight loss, and chronic fatigue. Sometimes these internal digestive disorders actually manifest visibly on the outside of our bodies. Jaundice is a prime example. It's a condition characterized by a distinct yellowing of the skin and eyes. And really, it serves as a massive systemic warning sign that a critical accessory organ, the liver, is damaged and failing to do its job. When the liver can't effectively process a waste product called bilirubin, it just builds up in the blood, causing that yellow pigmentation. Okay, I know we've just explored some incredibly painful and disruptive malfunctions, but take a deep breath because here is the good news. Most common digestive disorders are highly preventable. Fortunately, we actually have the power to protect this complex anatomy and stave off many of these debilitating conditions through everyday, actionable lifestyle choices. It really just takes a bit of mindfulness about what we put into our bodies and how we treat them on a daily basis.
Supporting your gut basically boils down to a clear, straightforward preventative action plan. You can actively protect your digestive system by eating a nutrient-rich diet that's balanced in macros and packed with plenty of fiber. Drink an adequate amount of water every single day to prevent bloating. Exercise regularly to keep those digestive muscles strong and toned. Make sure your food is prepared in sanitary conditions. And crucially, never ignore the natural urge to have a bowel movement. Suppressing nature's call can absolutely lead to chronic constipation and painful hemorrhoids over time. Don't do it. As we wrap up this explainer on the absolute marvels and the very real vulnerabilities of human digestion, I want to leave you with something to reflect on. From the very first bite to the final stages of absorption, your digestive system is working tirelessly for you every single day. So, based on your own daily habits, what is one lifestyle change you can make today to better support your gut's remarkable journey? Think about it. Thank you so much for exploring the amazing science of digestion with me.